Hello everybody, I'm Hảo Nguyễn. Welcome back my channel. In the previous video, I gave you the connection between artificial intelligence AI and chat GPT. However, I don't know much about chat GPT or don't have any experiences of chat GPT. Therefore, today I choose to read to you this article to know more about it. ChatGPT optimizing language model for dialogue. We've trained a model called ChatGPT, which interacts in a conversational way. The dialogue format makes it possible for ChatGPT to answer follow-up questions, admit its mistakes, challenge incorrect premises, and reject inappropriate requests. ChatGPT is a sibling model to InstructGPT, which is trained to follow an instruction in a prompt and provide a detailed response. We are excited to introduce ChatGPT to get user feedback and learn about the strengths and weaknesses. During the research review, usage of ChatGPT is free. Try it now at chat.openai.com. Here is the samples between the user and ChatGPT, like a dialogue, okay? In the following example, ChatGPT asks a clarifying questions to debug code. The user have a problem. The user has a problem with the debug code, and he didn't know exactly where was the mistake. So he asked the question and sent the code to the chat GPT. This code is not working like I expect. How do I fix it? And chat GPT answers, it's difficult to say what's wrong with the code without more context. Can you provide more information about what the code is supposed to do and what isn't working as expected? Also, is this the entire code or just a part of it? And the user replied, just part of it. The error never surfaces. I think there is something wrong with the channel. GPT answers, it's difficult to say without more information about what the code is supposed to do and what happened when it's executed. One potential issue with the code you provided is that the phrase result worker error channel is never closed, which means that the code could potentially hang off its result worker error channel is never written to. This could happen if result worker never returns an error or if it's cancelled before it has a chance to return an error. To fix this issue, you could close the result worker error channel after writing to it. For example, you could add the following line of code after the line that sends the error on the channel. This could ensure that the result worker error channel is always closed, even if result worker never return an error. Again, it's difficult to say whether this is issue you are experiencing without more information about the problem you are seeing. Can you provide more detail about what's happening when you run the code? Oh my God, it's very impressive because you see that the user send the chat GPT his problem. It's just the code. And the chat GPT feedback give the answer or reply. And when I read the dialogue, I call it the dialogue between the user and the chat GPT. I feel it very comfortable, like I am talking to my teacher, consultant, or my professor, like in Vietnam, chị Google. Yeah, because the way the chat GPT reply very polite and also want to get more information about the context of the code. It's really intelligent. Yeah, and the way ChatGPT answer make the user feel very comfortable and can find out his error. Furthermore, when the ChatGPT give the suggestion about the mistake of the user, that the phrase result worker error is never closed, and also give the solution for him. That's perfect. And continue. We train this model using reinforcement learning from human feedback, using the same methods as Instruct GPT, but with slight differences in the data collection setup. We train an initial model using supervised fine tuning. Human AI trainers provided conversation in which they play both sides, the user and an AI assistant. We gave the trainers access to model written suggestion to have them compose their response. The miss this we miss this new dialogue data is with the Instruct GPT dataset, which we transform into the dialogue format. To create a reward model for reinforcement learning, we need to collect comparison data, which consisted of two or more model responses ranked by quality. To collect this data, we took conversations that AI trainers have with the chatbot. We randomly selected a model written message, sampled several alternative combinations, had AI trainers rank them. Using these reward models, we can fine-tune the model using proximal policy optimization. We perform several interactions of this process. So there are three steps here. Step number one, collect, demonstrate data, and train a supervised policy. Step number two, collect comparison data and train a reward model. And step number three, optimize a policy against the reward model. Use a PPO reinforcement learning algorithm. ChatGPT is fine-tuned from the model in the GPT 3.5 series, which finished training in early 2022. You can learn more about 3.5 series here. ChatGPT and GPT 3.5 were trained on an Azure AI supercomputing infrastructure. Limitation. ChatGPT sometimes writes plausible sounding but incorrect or nonsensical answer. Fixing this issue is challenging as number one, during RL training, there is currently no source of truth. Training the model to be more cautious causes it to decline questions that it in answer correctly. And number three, supervised training misleads the model because the ideal answer depends on what the model knows rather than what the human demonstrator knows. ChatGPT is insensitive to twist the input phrases and attempting the same prompt multiple times. For example, given one phrase of the question, the model can claim not to know the answer, but given the slight rephrase can answer correctly. The model is often excessively verbose and overuses certain phrases, such as restarting that is a language model trained by OpenAI. This issue arises from biases in the training data. Ideally, a model would ask clarifying questions when the user provides an ambiguous query. Instead, our current model usually guesses what the user intended. While we've made effort to make the model refuse inappropriate requests, it will sometimes respond to harmful instruction or exhibit biased behavior. We are using the moderation API to warn or block certain types of unsafe content, but we but we expect to have some false negative and positive to now. For now, we are eager to collect user feedback to add our ongoing work to improve this system. And here is another example that you can make comparison between the feedback of ChatGPT and InfraGPT. The question here, the answer gives the question, tell me about when Christopher Columbus came to the US in 2015. So the answer of ChatGPT is longer than the answers of InstructGPT. Now, read it. This question is a bit tricky because Christopher Columbus died in 1506. So he could not have come to the US in 2015. But let's prevent it for a moment that he did. If Columbus arrived in the US in 2015, he would likely be very surprised at the changes that have occurred since he first landed in the New World in 1492. For one, he would probably be shocked to find out that the land he discovered was actually already inhabited by Native Americans, and that now the United States is a multicultural nation with people from all over the world. He would likely also be amazed by advances in technology, from the skyscrapers in our city to the smartphone in our pockets. Lastly, he may be surprised to find out that many people don't view him as a hero anymore. In fact, some people argue that he was brutal conqueror who enslaved and killed negative people. On and on, it would be a very different experience for Christopher than the one he had over 500 years ago. And here is the answer or the feedback from InstructGPT. Christopher Columbus came to US in 2015 and he was very excited to be here. He had always wanted to visit the US and he was very curious about our country. He was very impressed with our country and he enjoyed his time here. You know that I surprised a little bit when I read the feedback between the ChatGPT and in StructGPT. As you know that Christopher Columbus yes, was the first person who discovered American America. Yes. So even though there is a mistake in the question about Christopher Columbus came to the US in 2015, and ChatGPT found out the mistake, the error here. So his answer, Christopher Columbus died in 1506. Yeah, that is the correct information. However, ChatGPT also give the answer, let prevent for the moment that he did. So through our reading the answers of ChatGPT, I also get the information about who was the first people, the first person discovered uh, American, that's it, Christopher on in which year? 1492. And that's also uh, the good way to give the answer, because sometimes maybe that's also the pretension. I mean that pretension that give the situation that so if Christopher Columbus visit take a visit to US in 2015, what could happen? So I think the answer of ChatGPT is better than InstructGPT. Okay, thank you so much for your listening. Bye bye for now and see you in the next video. Goodbye. See ya.